Thanks for the upgrade, babe, Lucas smirked, strutting into the living room, tossing his designer sunglasses onto the coffee table. He stood there, dripping with arrogance in a sleek suit, polished shoes, and a duffel bag bursting with luxury brand logos. First class to Italy, 5-star hotels. This is the life I was meant for, Claire. I couldn't help it. I laughed, sharp and unrestrained. His face twisted, confused. What's so funny? He snapped. Oh, Lucas, I said, shaking my head, a grin tugging at my lips. You have no idea what you've stepped into. My name's Claire Thompson, I'm 35, and I work in cybersecurity. For 8 years, I was married to a man whose charm masked a trail of red flags. Lucas was the dreamer, the smooth talker who sold big ideas while I made them possible with my stable job. But last week, at 3 a.m., he made a mistake that unraveled everything. This is a story of betrayal, resilience, and reclaiming my life. Stick with me, because if you've ever trusted someone who didn't deserve it, you'll feel every twist of this, and the ending will show you what it means to take back what's yours. Lucas and I had built a life together, or so I thought. I'd ignored the warning signs, his secretive spending, his vague excuses for never contributing financially. His charisma always pulled me back, convincing me we were a team. I was the one grinding at work, securing our cozy apartment, while he chased half-baked ventures that never panned out. I told myself it was love, that his dreams were ours. But that night, everything changed. I was asleep when Lucas crept downstairs to my laptop. My job had taught me to spot scams, but I never imagined I'd need those skills at home. He accessed one of my credit cards, snapped photos of the details, and slipped back into bed like a ghost. The next morning, my phone buzzed with alerts. I opened my banking app, $60,000 in charges, designer suits, a Rolex, first-class tickets to Rome. My heart sank, but then I smiled. The card he'd used wasn't personal. It was a dummy account from a fraud detection program I run at work, designed to catch thieves. Every charge triggered an alert to the authorities. Lucas had just turned himself into my best case study. I called my lawyer, Rachel, that morning. You're not going to believe this, I said, laying out the details. She laughed so hard she nearly choked. Wait, he stole from the fraud training card? Yup, I said, a mix of disbelief and satisfaction in my voice. He thought he was slick. Slick? Rachel snorted. He's a walking disaster. Those charges are flagged automatically. Has law enforcement reached out? Not yet, I said, but it's coming. For the next week, I played it cool, letting Lucas dig his hole deeper. He left a note 2 days later. Need some space, off for a bit. Don't wait up. I knew what it meant. He was burning through my money abroad. Every night, fraud alerts lit up my phone. Michelin star dinners, luxury boutiques, a penthouse suite. Each ping felt like a countdown to his reckoning. 4 days in, Agent Harper, a federal investigator, called. We've flagged significant fraud on your account, he said. Any idea who's behind it? My husband, I replied without hesitation. There was a pause. Your husband? I explained the dummy card, the program, everything. Harper let out a low whistle. That's a first. We'll need a statement, but he's already in deep. The charges are piling up. By the time Lucas waltzed back home, his ego bloated from a week of indulgence, I was ready. He sauntered in, decked out in his ill-gotten gains, grinning like he'd won the lottery. Thanks for the upgrade, he said, tossing his bag down. You really came through this time. I laughed, long and loud, catching him off guard. What's so funny? He demanded. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Lucas, how did you think this would play out? He smirked, shrugging off his jacket. You're always so tense about money. I figured you'd see how much fun I was having and get over it. It's not like you can't afford it. His audacity was almost impressive. So, the Rolex, the flights, the hotels, You thought I'd just bankroll your little fantasy? Not thought, he said, pointing to himself with a grin. Knew. You're too soft to make a fuss. I gave a tight smile, savoring the ayes. Moment? We'll see about that. As he headed for the shower, humming some irritating pop song, I texted Rachel. He's back. Let's move. Her reply was instant. On it. Harper's ready. Over the week, Rachel and Agent Harper had built an airtight case. Every charge was tracked. $60,000 worth of designer clothes, jewelry, and travel, all flagged by the dummy card system. Harper had advised letting Lucas incriminate himself further. The cockier he is, the better, he'd said. Let him talk. So I did. Post-shower, Lucas sprawled on the couch, flaunting a gold watch. You should have seen Rome, he bragged, waving his wrist. The food, the shops, pure class. You'd have loved it. Sounds amazing, I said, leaning in. Tell me everything. He dove into a self-aggrandizing tale of his spree, oblivious that I was recording every word on my phone, a file ready for Harper. The best part? He said, admiring the watch. No one suspected a thing, not even you. The next morning, I met Rachel for coffee to finalize the plan. He's got nothing, she said, scrolling through our evidence, the alerts, the charges, his recorded boasts. Harper's set to bring him in. They're coordinating with local police for the arrest. I nodded, the reality sinking in. What's next? He's facing fraud, identity theft, and unauthorized use of a financial account, she said. With this much money, it's serious. Best case, he cuts a deal. Worst case, years in prison. Part of me wanted to pity him, but his smug grin, his flippant, thanks for the upgrade, burned away any sympathy. This wasn't a one-off. It was who he was. Selfish, entitled, and finally caught. That evening, as Lucas lounged on the couch, scrolling through his phone, a firm knock echoed. My pulse quickened, not with fear but anticipation. I opened the door to Agent Harper and two officers. Good evening, Ms. Thompson, Harper said, his tone calm but authoritative. Is Lucas here? Right inside, I said, stepping aside. Make yourselves at home. Lucas glanced up, confusion creasing his face. What's this? He asked, sitting up. Harper stepped forward. Lucas Bennett, you're under investigation for multiple counts of credit card fraud and unauthorized financial transactions. We need you to come with us for questioning. His face drained of color, the bravado gone. This is a mistake, he stammered, looking at me. Claire, tell them. I crossed my arms, tilting my head. I don't know, Lucas. You've been busy. Maybe you should explain. As the officers read his rights and guided him to the door, he kept protesting. You can't do this, Claire. I'm your husband. You're supposed to have my back. Funny, I said, leaning against the doorway. I thought husbands didn't steal from their wives. Guess we're both surprised. His eyes flashed with desperation. You set me up. You won't get away with this. I smiled. Oh, Lucas, I already did. The door clicked shut, and the silence that followed was deafening, but not heavy. It was the sound of freedom. An hour later, Rachel called. He's with Harper now, she said. He's spinning some story about you giving him permission, but it's falling apart. The alerts, the charges, your recording. It's over for him. The next morning, Harper updated me. He admitted to using the card but claims he didn't. No, it was a fraud detection account. He's trying to pin it on a misunderstanding. Classic Lucas, I said, rolling my eyes. What's next? We're pressing charges, Harper said. Fraud, unauthorized use, the works. The amount involved means he's facing real consequences. The buyer protection program flagged his purchases so you're not liable for a dime. Relief washed over me. I'd feared some loophole would let him slip away, but the system I'd helped build had caught him clean. The fallout was swift and brutal. Word of Lucas's arrest spread through our social circle, shredding his carefully curated image as the charming dreamer. Emily, the woman I'd suspected he was involved with, cut contact the moment she heard. His designer haul was confiscated. His bookings canceled, his accounts frozen. One night, he called from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Claire," he said, voice hollow. "We need to talk." I laughed. "The only person you need to talk to is your lawyer." "Please," he begged. "I screwed up. I didn't mean for this." "Didn't mean to steal $60,000? I cut in, voice icy. "Didn't mean to lie? To use me? You thought I'd stay blind forever, didn't you?" Silence stretched. "I thought you loved me," he mumbled. "I loved who I thought you were," I said. "But the guy who stole from me? That's not him." I hung up, my heart steady. A week later, Rachel confirmed Lucas took a plea deal. "No jail time," she said, "but he's repaying every cent, plus community service. His credit's toast for years." "Fitting," I said, smiling. "He wanted the high life. Now he gets reality." She laughed. "You're handling this like a champ." "You know," I said, "I used to think Lucas was the glue in our marriage, his charm, his big plans. But I was the one holding it together. He was just dragging me down." The divorce papers arrived soon after, a slim envelope carrying monumental weight. I signed them at the kitchen table, scanning the words. Finalized, irrevocable. It wasn't the future I'd envisioned when I married Lucas, but it was better. Clear, free, mine. The apartment felt different in the days after his arrest. Lighter, like it could breathe again. Lucas's clutter, his tacky cufflinks, his overpriced sneakers, was gone, leaving space for me. Rachel stopped by with paperwork one afternoon. "How you holding up?" she asked, settling on the couch. "Better than I expected," I said, handing her coffee. "I'm not even mad anymore. Just done." She nodded. "That's because you won. You didn't just survive. You're stronger for it." She was right. For years, I'd let Lucas set the terms of our life, thinking compromise was love. But real peace didn't come from silence. It came from standing up. My best friend, Jenna, came over one evening with takeout and wine. "So he's really gone?" she asked, kicking back. "Gone," I said, pouring glasses. "Didn't even put up a fight." She raised her glass. "To new chapters and torching the old ones." I clinked hers, laughing. "To never settling again." Over the next weeks, I reclaimed the apartment. I painted the walls a soft sage. Green, hung art I loved, added a cozy rug. It wasn't just decor. It was making the space mine, not the version Lucas had tainted. I took a solo trip I'd always wanted, wandering coastal towns, savoring the quiet. Lucas tried reaching out, vague emails, a self-pitying letter claiming he'd changed. I deleted them without replying. Closure didn't come from him. It came from me. Through mutual friends, I heard Lucas was struggling, bouncing between dead-end jobs, living with his brother, his reputation in tatters. The luxury suits were gone, replaced by a reality he couldn't charm away. I didn't. Glad I just moved on. The divorce finalized cleanly, no drama, just a quiet end. One day, sorting papers, I found an old photo of us, young, smiling, full of promise. I lingered, remembering the good moments. But they were fleeting, overshadowed by his lies. I tucked it away, not ready to discard it, but not needing it out. It was my past, not my present. A month later, life felt new. The apartment glowed with my touch, plants on the sill, books stacked on the table. Jenna and I started a weekend brunch tradition, and over pancakes she asked, "What's next?" I smiled, calm and sure. "Just me for now. Works great. And I'm thinking about a mountain getaway, somewhere peaceful." She toasted. "You've earned it." That night, on my balcony with a glass of wine, I looked out at the city lights. Lucas's smug, "Thanks for the upgrade," echoed faintly, but it didn't sting. His arrogance had been his undoing. My strength had been my salvation. This wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the start of a life I owned, where I chose joy. And for the first time, I was truly free.